Hi, I'm Adam Jennings, and this is Awaiting Approval, a podcast about the messy human side of creative leadership. Today, I'm joined by Anjali Gajera Patel, Director of Product Design at Ancestry, for a relaxed, two-way conversation about her journey, the lessons she's learned, and what it takes to lead with creativity and honesty. Anjali, hi, welcome to the show.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Adam, for having me. I'm super excited, and I love sharing my experience and my story. So, yeah, ask away.
Fantastic. Well, we've known each other for a long time, and so I'm really, really excited to do this with you and have this sort of conversation into your story. But for those listening and watching that don't know you, and to help them kind of get to know you a little bit better, if we were recording this in person today, where would you suggest we meet, and what would you order to drink?
Okay, if we were doing this in person, I would say we would have either met in London, because London is still my favorite city, or we would have met in San Francisco, which is my second favorite city where I currently live. I live 30 minutes outside of San Francisco, so I don't live in the city, but I still go to the city once a week, or a couple of times a month for sure, for nice dinner or an event. So yeah, definitely we would meet either or that. And what would I order? I would order recently, I'm into mezcals. So I would order a margarita, a classic margarita, but instead of tequila, I would ask them to switch it up with mezcal. And that's my recent to-go drink. So I would do that. How about you?
Fantastic. Well, I'll raise a digital margarita to cheer you on for this recording.
Thank you.
And I will, of course, include a huge bowl of tater tots as well,
Oh, yes.
which, as anyone that knows me knows, is like
I
a
think.
fix for me. So that's where I would go with this. On a similar theme for people to get to know you, is there something on your desk or around or near you that you can share that gives a little bit of insight into you or how you work?
Yes, absolutely. I have, so I can take them off and show you guys. I have a couple of these Funkos, right? We used to call them Funkos. So this is Daenerys from Game of Thrones. This is Jon Snow from Game of Thrones. Then I have, before they drop, I have Groot. So I have a bunch of these. I also have Daryl from Walking Dead. I have a miniature Minnie too, which is my favorite. And it is British green. So yeah, I love it. And then I
Excellent.
do I do have a one of my colleague, she painted this for me many, many, many years ago because I was the one who used to be always the first person in the office around like 7 a.m. So she painted this for me that says early birds. I still have it. And then I have all my Harry Potter books on my desk. I have hand moisturizer because I do have a very, very dry skin. So I have it, a very nice fancy one, stress relief. And it's a very nice eucalyptus smell. So I always constantly hydrate my hand and smell it. So that helps me stay calm and focused. And then I have a bunch of other things too on my desk, but it's very well structured and organized, not at all chaotic. As you know, I have a serious OCD issue, so everything has to be properly arranged and has to be clean. Cannot see a dust particles. I'm constantly cleaning too. But yeah, that's my desk.
What an amazing mix from the Funkos and the sort of pop culture references through to a little bit of self-care with the hand moisturizer. That's really nice. And I would love, like, is that a good representation of you? Like the deep interests into certain things, certain cultural things, plus that self-care view?
Yes, absolutely. And like that's you said it really well. When I get obsessed with something, I go really deep into it and learn more about it. But then at the same time, I know when to stop and when that obsession becomes unhealthy versus finding that right balance and bringing back into like making sure that I'm still taking care of myself and like focusing on mental health and self-care for sure. So even like I always call myself that I'm workaholic too, right? Like I absolutely love what I do, right? That's why I'm in this industry. But I still know where to draw the line. And if I know that I'm getting to that point where I'm gonna burn out, pause, I take a deep breathe, and then I just focus on my self-care. I'll just go for like a quick 5-minute walk. I don't unfortunately have a backyard, but I'll walk by my cul-de-sac, and just get some fresh air or open up the window and just stare outside the window. I'm doing this because there is a giant window right in front of me. So I'll just stare at the plants and trees, and I'll always try to find a break, you know? So yeah, no, you, I'm like a right balance between having a deep rooted interest into certain things, but then also focusing on my self care.
Mm, that's a good balance, and I love the honesty in those as well. Like there are so many of us that have a deep passion for some aspect of popular culture, you know, of mainstream popular culture, like Game of Thrones for you, or Star Wars for me, or what have you. And then we get knocks, especially if we have a really deep focus on them. We often get knocks from people, oh, that's so tacky, or that's not cool, or oh, that's for kids, or you know, and I,
Yeah.
I really genuinely, with the best will in the world, think those people are missing the point
Yeah.
of a fandom, of a collective community that enjoy that shared experience of something.
Exactly.
And so I love that you're like me. I mean, with the Ghostbusters rubber duck
I
in the
love that.
background here, um, because Egon. I mean, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you know, I really love that you're so open with that, and with the self care aspect. I think with everything that's going on in the world right now, it's incredibly important. So you know, for anyone that's listening that might be facing a tough time, like what would be your sort of top three go-to self-care moves? We've heard about kind of getting out and going for a walk for some fresh air. What would be the other two?
Talking to loved ones, right? Like your best friend or your family member. I'm really bad at, I would say, picking up a phone and calling them, but I'm very fortunate and very, I would say, lucky to have people who constantly checks on me, I would say. So I know that one day it will be my cousin who's calling me, other day it will be my sister, the third day, like I actually have fixed days when I expect calls from certain people, and I'll spend like good 30, 40 minutes to talk to them, you know? So that's another thing that I love. And then the third thing is like we all have different types of hobbies too, right? So trying to carve out time for that, like my hobbies changes every month or every year, to be honest with you. I feel like, cause for me, I get bored so easily, I would say, right? I have to constantly keep myself challenging with new things. But recently, I would say last couple of years, I've been obsessed with Legos, and I have lots and lots of Legos. So I'll try, and I deliberately don't build them right away in 1 or 2 days. I just carve out like good 20 or 30 minutes a day. So then that's another thing that allows me to really shut off my brain from our work. Because you understand, right? Like with our work and with our industry, it's not always just designing or anything, but I feel like as you grow in a leadership position, especially, you're also doing a lot of like strategic thinking, and that actually it's exhaustive, even though you're just sitting here, right? And not doing
Mm.
any physical activity, but that mental activity, I feel drains out a lot of my energy. So I love doing these kind of things at the end of the day where I do not have to use my brain and I just have to follow the instructions and like just get some relaxing time, right? So Lego, I found that a couple of years ago that has helped me a lot to just disconnect. And especially my disconnection pre-pandemic used to be the train ride where I used to come from work to office, from office to home, and that 30-minute, 40-minute train ride was like observing people or listening to people was my time, which was taken away now that I work from home. So I found Lego as my another like shut off moment, you know, that allows me to just
Mhm.
shut off. not use my brain. And it's still kind of using my brain. It's definitely helping my brain while I'm building Legos, but I'm following instruction.
Mhm. I used to have a commute that was 2.5 hours each way, door to door.
Oh
I used
no,
to
I
commute
don't.
from a rural part of the UK into London and then back out again. And in a way, it worked really nicely because on the way in, I started by looking out of the windows and seeing, green
Hmm.
rolling
Yeah.
fields and slowly there'd be more and more buildings and more houses and then office blocks. And then I was in the city. It was kind of a nice way over that time to kind of wake up and get ready. And then it was the opposite on the way back out. So the buildings started to fall away and the hills were kind of
Hmm.
replacing them. So I get that with the commute to just kind of relax into or out of work. Um, when when we when you think about your career, you're now director of product for Ancestry,
Hmm.
huge, well-recognized global brand. If you could take us right back to the beginning of your career and then
Hmm.
just give us a bullet point key milestones from there to where you are today. You don't have to touch every place, but just the
Yeah.
kind of key bits.
Mhm. Oh, yeah, absolutely. So obviously, I was born and raised in India and then moved to UK in my teens. Went to university there, and I specialized in visual communication. I think so from middle school, I always knew that I wanted to become a designer or an artist. But obviously, for me, it was like I was still like I'm from Gujarat, a state which is known for having a business oriented mind. Like it's just baked into our genes, right? So numbers are something that clicks right away. So always when I knew that I wanted to go into art stream, but I also wanted to make money because that's in my blood. I have to. What will I do? So obviously advertising was a stream that I took when I graduated. I started my career in advertising. It was unfortunate time that graduated during the one of the largest recession, global recession, right? 2008. So there were not that many jobs. So what I was doing was I was just working at William Hills, which if you're a listener in UK, obviously you know William Hills are bookie shops. And so was working in William Hill, but then I was taking on free projects to keep my portfolio going on and not take away, like not completely go away from the industry that where I want to build my career. So I started doing that. And then as I was doing that, just working for free for agencies and friends who had work, but they couldn't pay me. But I was like, I'll still design it for you guys. And that also allowed me to have a bunch of projects from India. So I was in between India and then fast forward few years, I started making decent money through freelancing. And then fate brought me to United States, San Francisco, where obviously we know it's Silicon Valley. Everything is digital here. So I was still trying to find my path into advertising industry because I was always a very tech savvy person. Always knew what new technology was coming out, so I was able to speak that language when I moved to San Francisco. And because of that knowledge, I was actually able to start getting project more and more around digital designing, so like website designing or micro sites and all of that, while I was not getting any success in like finding a big break into advertising world. So naturally I started seeing this shift happening in my career where I was actually really enjoying like problem solving and designing products that people interact with. So then I just self-taught everything about UX and interaction design. And since then, I've never looked back. I would say it's been 15 years since I've been doing product designing and not advertising anymore. But I still love the concept. Like there is this still concept of like being at shoots because I've done multiple uh, TV commercial shoots too for McDonald's actually. And being on a set and shooting commercials is something that had that energy that I feel like it was just a different moment, but I don't see myself going back. Maybe when I retire and, wanna do something else other than product designing, I can maybe think of going back into advertising and like do some art direction, like real old school art direction, right? Um, but yeah, that's my story. That's how basically, I know I skipped a lot of details, but that's what brought me to product designing.
The way you talk about product design and the way you talk about these last 15 years, like there's a big, huge smile on your face. I mean, you are a very smiley person anyway. Like you always smile, no matter what
Yeah,
is thrown at you from the team, from the client. Like
yeah.
I've always seen you smile, but your face kind of lights up when you talk about product design. So what's the thing that keeps you coming back to product design? What's the draw for you in solving those challenges as opposed to say a shoot for McDonald's?
I would say what keeps me bringing back is the hope of making an impact in a person's life. That one person who is going to be using a product that I designed is going to hopefully make a positive impact on their lives is what keeps bringing me back. Obviously, I'm not saying that all the products are always like being super honest, right? Like not all the products are creating positive impact in humans' life, but the goal is to create a product that makes their lives better, right? Unfortunately, obviously, the social media was never supposed to be what social media is today, right? Our hope when people were building social media was to bring people together and help them connect, right? But then unfortunately, it caused a lot of other issues that came with it, like people's lack of attention span, right? Lack of attention span, no patience anymore. Everything is instantly readily available. So we do not have any capabilities anymore to even like go do deep research, right? But that said, obviously, don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Our goal is always, as a designer, still want to create a product that makes a positive impact. And the good designers will probably try to push back when they start seeing these dark patterns happening. Then how can we rectify that, So that's what keeps me bringing that. I want to keep bringing products to life that are going to be making positive impact in our lives.
And I'm pleased that you mentioned about the dark patterns because there's an incredibly fine line. You know, when you're designing for product, there are so many aspects that you have to consider. First and foremost is the end user or customer or however you want to class them. But obviously, you also have to consider the business objectives for
Yes.
your organization or your client. And sometimes those are at odds.
Yeah.
And so finding that balance between a dark pattern that
Hmm.
fully serves the organization, because I think dark pattern or dark UX is a little bit of a misnomer because you almost feel like, oh, this is the Voldemort of UX. Like
Yeah.
it isn't inherently evil.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
have to mean it's evil. Like
No.
at the
No.
far end of that, it's really, really nasty stuff. But most of
Yes.
the time, those dark patterns are just more to serve the business
Yep.
objectives than the user objectives. And so how do you sort of find, and I guess it's project by project, but generally speaking, how do you find your way through what you're comfortable with versus maybe what the business needs or what the consumer needs?
Yeah. So I would say I'll always still put the user at a top priority. Obviously, when we have to come up with the solutions where maybe a user need is something else, but it's not going to allow us to meet the business objective, then we have to creatively find a solution. And we always end up finding a solution, but we have to find a solution that is still not completely going to derail our users' need and a problem that we are trying to solve for. They should still be at the top. And then the business strategy, like the business objective, should be the secondary that helps us. We always keep reminding even our stakeholders and our leaders, right? That yes, obviously, we are in the situation where we have to keep both the parties happy, our users as well as our stakeholders. But also keep in mind if we have an angry user, we are automatically going to have an angry stakeholder because we are not going to be able to sell our product or not going to have a better revenue. So it's always good to make our users happy. Happy users is going to be happy business, you know? So that's what I try to keep telling myself, even when we are designing. And it's inevitable. We have to come up with the solutions where we'll hide certain things into 2 clicks so that we are able to surface up some more things that will allow us to achieve our business objectives or KPIs, you know? So I'm not denying we don't do that, but we are still doing it that in a way that we're not completely removing it from our experience, but users will still end up finding it if they need to or if they want to.
I think we as designers understand there are business objectives that we need to support. And I think
Yes.
users have reached that point where they understand that, okay, this
Yes.
is annoying that I need to go through 2 or 3 clicks to cancel my subscription, but I get it. I'm used to
Yes.
it. And I think some some are even uh, used to the idea that maybe midway through that process they might get offered an incentive to stay for a little bit
Yes.
longer with a discount or a
Yeah.
a month
Yeah.
free or something like that. So I think we're between the designers and the users and the business objectives, I
Yeah.
think we're kind of all finding this, yeah, all right, kind of point, this kind of agreement, between us all, which I kind of like. When you think about your career that you took us through, like a a big chunk of that has been agency side, and now
Yes.
obviously at Ancestry, your client side. So how are you finding the difference between those two? How have you enjoyed or not? I'm assuming you have enjoyed that transition.
I mean, so this is not my first in-house, obviously. I've been to another 3 in-house. Clorox was in-house, Gap was in-house, and Kodak was in-house too, right? So I've always, like when I'm mentoring young talents, right? And we have our interns, as you know, we used to have our internship program. I always tell them that ask yourself what you like and what your goals are. Based on that, I can help you find what's right, agency side versus the in-house side. For me, both has really catered well for me. I would say agency side really helped me grow and learn in a very short time frame period because I didn't go to school for UX, nor I had any product design background. I was an advertiser, you know? So I had to self learn and self teach everything about digital product designing and interaction designing. So the agency side really helped me because I used to have like 2 or 3 projects at a time, and they are like in a short period of time, right? Anywhere between 6 to 8 to 10 weeks. So I'm constantly switching my gears from one type of client to another type of client and learning that. And then on the other side, I also learned how to communicate well on the agency side, right? Because you're constantly communicating with so many different types of people, with different mindsets, different needs. So that taught me on the agency side, which I really loved. And again, helped me build my portfolio that has all like the range of variety, right? Like I've designed for entertainment industry. I've designed for healthcare. I've designed for um, social media platforms and all sorts of that we can say, right? Food industry including. So I love that part. What I really love about the in-house side is, especially when you want to grow in your career, it's really important that it's not only that you keep the surface level knowledge, but also you have to have a deep knowledge. And it's forcing me not to only think through broad and big, but also think through deep. You really have to think through deep in order to have a product successful. And that's what I feel that was lacking and missing on the agency side, I would say. But then I got the variety. But on the agency side, you're mostly always just thinking high level, big picture, big flows. but you're now going deep because generally the clients will take the project in-house and then they'll work on the edge cases and all the other stuff, right? Versus now on the in-house side, I get the opportunity to go deep as well as go broad in the both direction, but I'm obviously only working on one product, which is actually perfect timing for me too. I'm growing old. I'm like, cognitively, I need cognitively, I need little bit of like peaceful and calming moment versus like I need to slow down basically. And agency wouldn't allow me to slow down because you constantly have to switch from one project to another project. And versus here, it's allowing me to have um more focused time, I would say.
Mm, yeah, there's something about agency life, and I mean, you and I in this context are talking about sort of experience design agencies, but it's true also for any agency, like,
Mm,
and you will have experienced this in the advertising agencies you worked in. There's something about the expectation on the speed of delivery, the speed of output that is just expected. And depending on where you are, depending on which agency you're with, that expectation is higher and higher and higher and higher and
okay.
higher. And
Yeah.
so, it's um, it's often an over expectation that leads to burnout, that leads
Yes.
to a churn of staff because they just can't keep up with it. Or those that are sensible say, so this isn't normal, this isn't right, I'm not going to stick with this. So I love that idea of doing that to get that experience, to get you from here to mastery kind of level really
Mm.
quickly,
Yeah.
and then taking that experience into in-house, slowing the pace down a little bit,
Yeah.
being able to go a bit deeper, a bit broader with everything
Yeah.
that you're doing. Um, I think that's a perfect sort of description of the difference between the two. When you think about everything that you have produced, agency and client side, all the projects, all the pieces of work, all the things that you've launched, the campaigns, is there a piece of work that sticks out in your mind that you're most proud of?
I would say yes. And that's what brought me to Ancestry, right? Our project that we worked together on Ancestry, both the core product vision project that we did, as well as the pet DNA project, right? Um, till the day, I always tell people that it's been one of my favorite project, not just because of our team dynamic, but also the relationship that we were able to build with our client, right? Was just amazing. And at the end, the product too that we came and we launched was amazing. It's still live. Ancestry is still running that project. I mean, product, which is Pet DNA. And then we were able to successfully, our KPI was like when we launch it between October and November and December, the goal was to sell 100,000 kit, and we were able to do it, and hence Ancestry kept it, right? So that's what I feel like um, that really gave me the proud moment, and I was able to speak so proudly about that project. And also, I kept that relationship going on with Graham too. Because absolutely, till the day, I always say he's been my no, I'm not saying that because he's my boss now, but I'm saying that even before he was my boss, right? Like, he's always been the favorite person to work with and partner with. So when you get that opportunity, obviously you want to snag it, take it. And at the same time, when you're around these kind of people, it's a lot easier to learn and grow because you're not unhappy, you're very happy, and when you're happy, learning is a lot easier. And in our industry, learning is always going to be there. We're never going to be able to say, oh, I'm done learning, I know everything. No, I don't know anything. Even today, after like 17, 18 years in an industry, right? I still say that I don't know everything. I'm still figuring things out and still learning, and especially with AI growing now, right? Like, what are we going to be able to do with AI and how we are going to incorporate that into our workflow and all of that. So, yeah. And learning is super easy when you have people that you really enjoy working with. And I'm going to say Ancestry, hands down, was always my favorite project and is still.
I love that. And having worked with you on that, I absolutely agree that there are, I genuinely, there are very few clients that I would say I won't work with again, like very,
Mhm.
very few.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I have a great time with my clients. Always look to build up as good a working relationship as I can. But there are some clients where it just clicks and everything goes
Yeah.
that extra mile because you are also happy. And the team at Ancestry were always one of those, like
Yeah.
the enthusiasm and the dedication. And this episode is not sponsored by or paid for by
No.
Ancestry in any way, shape, or form. Like this is just an honest truth that they're just such a great bunch of people to work with, and now you're there, uh, perfectly part and parcel of one of those great people to work with. So I'm not surprised that you've picked that
Yeah.
product
Yeah.
or project
No.
at all. Hi. If what we're talking about in this episode is resonating with you, the challenges faced are the ones that are in front of you right now, the path they've taken is your dream career path, whatever it may be, stick around until the end of this episode to find out how you can work directly with me to level up your leadership skills. Get 30 years worth of experience downloaded into your skill set in just 4 weeks. At the same time, meet amazing other design leaders as part of your cohort. Thanks for listening. I'll see you at the end. Let's flip it a little bit. When you
Mhm.
think of everything that you have done, is there a time where something didn't quite go according to plan? And if there was, what did you learn from that?
Yeah, there has been a lot of projects, I would say. Not every project goes through as per our plan, right? And again, every project, there has to be a pivot moment. So that's something that I will always say, right? That when you start sensing that things are not moving according to your plan or how you anticipate things to move forward, you should be ready to pivot. And I feel the pivot word, I'm going to put an emphasis on it, right? Is the key part. Is um, if you want to stay in this industry, um, you have to learn how to pivot and how to be agile because it can't be um, rigid. You know, our plans are never gonna be the same when we started and when we were launching the week before. If you look at it, we probably pivoted like 10 times or 20 times, you know, to get to where we are. And that's the key part. Learning and iterating is what pivot is, you know. So I've always dealt with that, you know, and I think so that was also one of the, I don't know who gave that, but that was one of the strength point or like my strength was that Anjali's biggest strength is ability to pivot. And I always feel like, yeah, if something doesn't work, you know what? It's fine. It's not end of the world. You're not saving people's life. You're literally, I mean, you're not on a table of like you're not doing a surgery where you can't change things up because otherwise the person's gonna die, you know? In our case, we have that like liberty to say, it's okay, this didn't work out. Let's rethink. Let's re strategize. Let's come up with a solution that will work, you know? But you learn from your mistakes and then come up with a new plan. Don't repeat the same mistakes, but there will always be new mistakes that we will be making, you know? So, yeah, I would always say pivot when things don't move the way we wanted to.
Just one of the many reasons I love working on projects with you is because you're absolutely right. There is always a pivot. It doesn't matter what the project is, there will always be a pivot.
Yeah.
And it might be a huge one or it
Yeah.
might be a slightly smaller one, but there'll always be something.
Yeah.
And every single time, anyone facing a pivot has roughly two choices. You either go with it grumpy and push against it and try and fight it, and
Yeah.
it just causes friction that's not going to help you.
Yeah.
Or you accept it, like you say, okay, this happens. How can we make the best of this? And you were
Yes.
always in that second group whenever there was a pivot on any of our projects. And
Yeah.
it meant so much because it meant that inevitable change that I think it's probably fair to say on all the projects that you and I worked together on, those pivot moments were usually quite big, right? Like they were
Yeah.
usually quite big ones. And
Yes.
to have you there as part of that team saying, cool, how do we make the most of this? Like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
We knew this was going to happen. We didn't know where it was going to come from, but it's here.
Yeah.
What do we
Yeah.
do? Like, how do we
Yeah.
go, team? And that was it was such a breath of fresh air um, to have that, and so important for the success of the projects
Mhm.
that you brought that attitude
Mm.
into those projects and into those moments. And
Yeah.
so I love that you picked that out, as a learning and as a sort of thing for those listening or watching to face those moments with as
Yes.
much positivity as they can, I guess.
And the other thing I would love to add into that part is one of my past project has taught, and the people who are listening, if the same team members are listening this to, they'll know which project I'm talking about. Um,
Mm,
but we were having difficulty in that project finding a rhythm between our team and our clients' team. The expectations weren't the same, and we were constantly hitting a wall where we weren't able to break through that wall. But what kept that team sane and happy, even in those difficult moments, was we literally made, I would say, a ritual. After every client call, we end the client call and right away, no matter if you have back to back other calls, we skip that call or we message them that we are running 5, 10 minutes behind, but we'll jump back on another call and we'll make a therapy session. Literally, we were allowed to just yell and scream or say out loud how we were feeling. Earlier, a lot of time, it was just sad, anger, disappointment, but we were okay to share that within our space because we created that safe space. But towards the end, it flipped. After our client calls, we were actually sharing our happy moments, that this was the moment of joy. This was the moment when I felt proud of our team. This was the moment when I felt, aha, finally we broke through that wall. So I again suggest people to do the same thing, right? Like create that safe environment and a safe space where your team members feel that it's okay to be vulnerable and it's okay to share your emotions. But obviously, you would know when is the right moment to do that. And when you create those kind of space and environment, it's going to create a very healthy dynamic. And then collaboration is going to be a lot easier.
mm. I think that's really important, recognizing that everybody is human. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter whether they're reporting to you or it's your client or your leadership
Yeah.
or your client's leadership. Like everybody is the same, and so they have good days and bad days. And
Yeah.
when it's when it's when you create that space, that sort of secure, safe space within your team, and always make sure the client has logged off before you do this, or better yet, like take your therapy session to a different Zoom link. Don't use the client facing one.
Yeah.
Use a different one. I think it's such a to give your team that space and the safety to be able to exhale. This
Yeah.
isn't about to be clear, like I know you and I know what you're talking about, and this isn't about slagging a client off. This isn't about being nasty
No.
or
No.
mean to a client. This is about exhaling. It's about just
Exactly.
releasing, in a space where you all have had that shared experience of this is tough. This has been a tough
Yeah.
call, or this has been a tough project so far. And so to be able to have the support of your teammates to navigate together through that, you're right, is super, super important. And
Hmm.
I wonder if, hearing what you've had as your sort of proudest work moment, and hearing the learnings from those. Like, when you think about your whole career, is there a point in time that you would go back to yourself, but knowing what you know now? And if there is, what would you say to yourself?
Jeet, my husband, he's gonna love this answer. I'm gonna say, listen to Jeet when he says something he's probably thought through and telling you. So basically, I'm talking about, right, like my earlier move and shift from UK to San Francisco. I was still fighting for my career to be in advertising while I was still doing successful projects in digital world, right, like designing websites and all of that back then. Um, Jeet kept telling me that why are you still struggling and fighting for a career that probably doesn't have too much future for me. I'm not saying advertising doesn't have future. I still love the advertising industry, right? But maybe I was not cut for that industry or it wasn't the right thing for me, but I still kept pushing for it. And he was like, you need to switch your focus and accept it that you're really good at this and start enjoying that. It took me on my own pace to really realize that I'm really enjoying this versus I could have saved those first 3 years of my career, I would say, when I was making the switch. And I should have just said it. Yeah, I'm going to say bye to advertising and just focus on this. That was one thing I would have said it to myself versus really like it was something that stayed in my heart, for a long time. Because my end goal was always to start my career from advertising, then go into the filmmaking. And the dream was to become a film director, one day. And that was something that I couldn't let go. And I was like, no, if I let go, that dream will never come true. But hey, you are allowed to see or multiple dreams. And if one dream doesn't come true, it's okay. There are so many other dreams that have come true now that wouldn't have had come true if I would have still stuck to that one path to follow that one dream, that I had versus now I let go that one dream, but I've built so many other dreams, I would say.
I love that. There's so much to unpack there, but
Mhm.
the two things that sort of strike me most are the importance of having someone who loves you and knows you so well, like a partner does,
Yeah.
having them be able to see your situation from that slightly different point of view.
Yes.
They can step out and see it and say, you're coming home stressed every night, like you're
Yes.
not enjoying this. I can see your physical health is getting worse. They can tell you the signs that are too difficult for you in it
Yeah.
to see. And so to have um that deep connection with someone who really sees you and
Yeah.
understands what your day to day
Yeah.
is really, really important. And the second thing that stuck out for me, I'm trying to remember what it was because I've forgotten.
Always happens.
um, it
Always
always
happens to
happens.
me too.
Um, what was the tail end that you said?
I would have not wasted that 3 years of my life following
Oh
one
yes,
dream and getting disappointed because I got to unlock so many more dreams that I've now fulfilled.
yeah, absolutely. And you talked about that idea of that goal, that dream of becoming a
Yeah.
film director. And I'm a huge proponent of storytelling is everything that
Yes.
we do, no matter
Yes.
what design, what creative discipline it is. Even in UX, many people don't quite
Mhm.
see the storytelling aspect of UX, but it's absolutely there. And
It's
so
at
I
the
think
core.
that it's exactly, yeah. And I think, knowing you and having worked with you, you are also a fantastic storyteller. And I can well see that at some point in your future, you coming back to the film direction and producing your own work
Yeah.
in that way, because you have that ability, you have that innate ability to tell a good
Yeah.
story, and so it's just crafting it in a different medium. So I would say, like, I agree with you. Goals change, dreams change, and
Mhm.
that's okay completely to let some dreams go and move on to others. Um, but I'm also of the school that says, like, well, I'll kind of put that to one side for now.
Yeah,
Maybe that'll come back in the future. And if it doesn't, that's
exactly.
okay. If it
It's
does,
okay
then great.
too. Yeah. Hey, we can manifest in this podcast. If this podcast gets a good listenership or the viewership, right? Whatever we call it, then someone will reach out to me and say, "Hey, would you want to assist me?" And I'll say, "Yes, I would. I would love to be an assistant director and do that as my side gig, you know?"
There you go, Mr. Spielberg, Mr.
Yes.
Zemeckis, like Mr. Del Toro, like, we're here. We'll very
Yeah.
happily come and be a first AD for you. How about that?
Yes.
Um,
Exactly.
moving away from work,
Mhm.
what's something outside of work that you're really proud of?
So many things that I'm proud of. Um, I love traveling, and I'm very proud of that. I'm in that privileged situation where I am able to travel as much as I want. So I'm like a very humbly proud of that moment, you know? Not everyone gets that opportunity, or not everyone can afford it, you know? But I'm able to, so I'm gonna take advantage of it. And so that's one thing. The other thing, obviously, I would say, um, the life that I live with my partner, right? I am absolutely proud of that. Obviously, we are a very, very, uh, I would say, normal people that mostly every relationships would be like that, right? But I love it. We're very two drastic opposite personalities. He's North Pole, I'm South Pole, literally. But we still have an amazing understanding between each other. And that's something that I'm very proud of. I would say I'm proud of him. I love having him in my life. I hope he listens to this podcast. And but no, I'm very, very proud of my relationship with him. Don't want to jinx it. Knock on wood. Otherwise, you'll hear tomorrow that Adam, I just had a huge fight with him.
I'm sure
No.
not. I'm sure not.
And the other was just loved ones that I have. Right. I cannot emphasize enough that I'm so fortunate to have my friends, including you, people that I have around me that helps me stay who I am, you know?
What a lovely answer, full of love. Thank you. And I'm honored to be mentioned in that group and to have
Yeah.
you as a friend as well. I just want to put that out there. There's so much in the world right now. There is so much that is changing,
Hmm.
from global financial crisis to wars to AI to tech rapidly changing. And if we even just shrink down into the impact, the negative impact that negative and positive impact that AI is having in the creative spaces right now. If we think about two groups of people, the first is those entering in sort of junior level positions across
Yeah.
the creative disciplines. And the second is those people who've been in it for a long while but have been out of
Mm.
work for a long while.
Mm.
What's your advice to those two groups of people in terms of how to navigate the current situation?
I'm gonna say that in our old days, we always used to say, right, jack of all trade. It was a negative thing, right? That you're not good at one thing and that's why you're trying to do everything. But that's shifting now. In fact, there is this new role that is getting, you know how UX was so new 10 years ago? This super, whatever we want to call it, right? This is super role which is a combination of a designer, a business analyst, a product manager, um, and a prompt engineer. I didn't want it to use the word prompt engineer, but I'm going to say, that I have to use it. The combination of that, you have to learn how to do all of that. Yes, your strength will always still be being a designer if you're a designer. If you're a product manager, you need to learn some of the design skills and some of, obviously, because you're a product, you already know the business side. So you don't have to worry about that. But it's very, very important for all of us to have knowledge in all of these three departments: product, business, and design, because that's where we're going. We are morphing these into more, because people are constantly looking for people who can do multiple like people can perform multiple duties and multiple roles and responsibilities, because that allows you to be a lot more quicker. And it's unfortunate that, yes, we are moving towards the world where the pace is getting lot and lot faster, because unfortunately the technology literally that we have is changing and evolving. Literally speak of as if right now it's changing, and we are in that moment, so we have to be able to be adapt with that. And again, I'm going to bring that pivot word, right? You should be able to pivot every second, every minute. And once you have the skill sets of these three departments, understanding business, product, and design, you will have a better chance in the industry versus just focusing on one. And in fact, again, this podcast is not sponsored by Carnegie Mellon, but I love Carnegie Mellon's MIPS program because of that reason, that it is actually crafting young talents to be able to wear those multiple hats, because from ground up, they're actually building talents who are able to do business strategy, product thinking, and designing, you know? Uh,
Wow.
so I feel that's where we are going. So we will have to teach and learn ourselves um, that you should be able to perform all of that. If you'll be in a very privileged situation if you have a dedicated product person or a dedicated designer, but a lot of startups are not able to have multiple folks, so they'll end up hiring a person who can do both. So
Wow.
that's why the juniors, especially who are entering into the industry, the more you diversify your services, right? You'll be able to find more success. And you can't just say, "Oh, I'm a designer. It's not my role." Or it's above my pay grade or under my pay grade. No, there isn't a such thing called above my pay grade or under my pay grade. People who will perform will keep moving forward. People who are not able to adapt and perform will probably have a hard time. And I'm hoping AI brain, like again, right? We were talking about this when we started the podcast, that our goal, the designers or as a product people, our goal is to create products and bring products that helps people and makes people's life better. And in this AI, obviously, if you look at it, every coin has two sides, right? The one side, AI can help us in so many different ways, right? AI used correctly in healthcare industry can help us predict and diagnose people earlier than a human only can diagnose and predict, right? Same with if AI used and incorrectly, we can completely screw up people's life in healthcare, right? So same goes with
Wow.
design industry and all the other industries. It's like we'll have to find the right balance of like how we use it. And as a human being, it's on us to control um, the misuse. If we misuse, then other person's gonna misuse, and then it will be a trickle effect, right? And then the
Mhm.
AI will be the catastrophe time, right? Is that the word? I'm saying it correctly? Yeah.
Mhm.
But if we use it correctly and if we manage it correctly, then I don't think it's gonna harm us.
Mm. And I think, like, we've never I mean, I know you and I have had conversations about AI, like,
Mm,
right since sort of, 2020, 21,
yeah,
when things really started I mean, I know AI has been around for decades, but, like, when things really started to kick off at pace, I remember you and I having that conversation around, um that we've seen this before, especially in the
mm,
creative industries. We've seen software or tools that come and they do a job, and then
yeah,
people think, oh, well, I don't need a designer to do it. I can just use this myself and do that myself. But
yeah,
there's always been a point where the output, the result um, has not given the returns that going the traditional route
exactly.
with a designer would. And so people have come back to use the designers. And the difference here is that new software, that new tool is actually improving itself step by step by step. It still doesn't understand what the output is, why
Yeah,
this joke is funnier than
yeah,
this joke, or
yeah,
why this picture is looks more real than this picture. It still doesn't get that yet. But the process of going from prompt to output, it is improving itself incrementally every single
hmm,
time. And
yeah,
so, but until we get to general artificial intelligence, we still need that human eye and that
exactly.
human heart and that human soul
Yeah,
to say, if you change the word lollipop to tortoise, the joke will be 10 times funnier, or whatever
yeah,
it might be. There's
yeah,
just something innately human about what we do as a job and the
hmm,
craft and the output.
yeah,
So I'm with you 100% on that. And I think that idea of becoming someone who has multiple hats that can definitely swap from one to the other, as a way to um, navigate everything that's going on in the world is certainly something worth looking into. I
hmm.
agree, for those listening and watching. We're coming close to the end of our time, so we've only got a few questions left. I'd
Hmm.
love to know what you hope someone listening or watching to this episode will take away with them.
I'm gonna say optimism. I hope I was able to bring a lot of optimism on this podcast. It's like something that I truly believe in is that how I want to see the world. If I bring the same energy, I will be able to change the world, you know? So I am as you know, I'm a very happy go person. Even in the sad moments, I still can't stop this stupid grin on my face, you know? So it's like, I think so that's how my brain and my body or myself, like I've wired myself that way. That even if I'm sad, I am trying to inject positivity with, obviously, I'm not suppressing my sadness, right? Like I'm still vocally communicating like you've been through with me when I was going through a hard time with my mom and all of that, right? So it's like I'll always be vocal, share it out loud with people of your trust and loved ones again, right? But then always keep the positive, like a positive perspective on everything helps me keep moving forward. So I hope people take that with this podcast, that with AI, a lot of changes are coming and happening. And even with the current market and global situation, a lot of people are actually suffering. I don't call any one of us are truly suffering. The people in certain countries are actually suffering, where they're living through a active war. And I just hope that we are able to stop that. Obviously, it's not in one person's hand. And again, being a civilian, I have very little to contribute towards that. But one thing that I can do is I have a voice and I can talk about it and spread more optimism and smile and help people as much as possible. If people need to talk, I'm always here on the other side of the screen. Come and talk to me. I'll help you lift up your mood or cheer you up. If you're feeling down or if you're feeling that you've hit a wall and you're not able to break through, I can help you break through, I guess. Or we'll figure it out. I'm not like, I won't have answers for everything, but having that attitude of like, we'll figure this out together is gonna help.
I love that. It's time for the final question. It's the same
Mhm.
final question that I ask every single guest. Are
Okay.
you, Anjali, still awaiting approval?
Can you? I am. No, I'm not. I'm not awaiting approval for anything. You know, um, I would say, even if you would have asked me 6 months ago, I was still in that limbo of like waiting for someone's approval. But now, no. Literally, this year has changed me. And I'm going to say, no, I'm not awaiting approval.
I love that strength. Thank you so much. Anjali, this is your moment to tell people how they can get in touch with you, where they can find you, how to contact you.
They can find me on LinkedIn. I'm actually pretty active on LinkedIn, but the only thing is drop me a message that if you are reaching out to me because you listen to my podcast with Adam Jennings, then just drop that message on LinkedIn so that I can connect the dots and say, okay, this person, then I can start a conversation accordingly, right? Like, what did you like about that or what you didn't like about that? Obviously, I want to learn that too. And as I said, right, like I'm constantly learning from my mistakes. So if I've made any mistake on this podcast, please do not hesitate to call out and let me know. But yeah, reach out to me via LinkedIn. It's Anjali Gajera Patel. Is the best way to contact me. I would have given my phone number, but no, I don't want everyone spending my phone
No,
number.
I don't think that's a good plan. And my address is like, no,
Yeah, no.
yeah, we'll just leave it at LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Anjali, I always love having a chat with you. You always brighten the day. Working with you is always an utter pleasure, and this episode has been no exception to that. Thank you so much for joining us.
No, Adam, likewise. I've always enjoyed working with you. I love you as a human being. And you are that person. That's why I'm able to bring so much energy that I have. So it goes both ways, right? If you love my energy and my company, it's because you're amazing too.
Thank you so much. If today's conversation got you thinking about your own growth as a creative leader, then my program, Supercharge Creative Leaders, might well be the next step for you. It's a 4-week cohort designed to help those in leadership positions and those aspiring to be in leadership positions to lead at a world-class level. You'll learn how to communicate with impact, grow your confidence, and lead teams that thrive, all without losing your creativity. It's a mix of pre-recorded video sessions, live Q&As with me and the rest of your cohort, and an incredible community of peers who will support you along the way. People who've already been through the course have gone on to win new roles, land promotions, get huge multi-million-dollar pitches, and they all put it down to the course and the confidence it gave them. So if you're ready to get noticed, get promoted, or finally step into that dream role, join the next cohort. Head to growwithadamjennings.com and sign up to Supercharged Creative Leaders. I can't wait to start working with you. Awaiting Approval is a Cordial Fox production, hosted by Adam Jennings, produced by Adam Jennings and Jasmine Egner.